look at the general state of his life, though. The guy's got, what, 7 kids, 8 kids, something like that? He has a relationship with none of them. All of the moms hate him. Why? Because he doesn't have time to be a dad. He doesn't have time to be a husband. So that's the cost. Now, don't get me wrong. I wish those kids had a parent. But I really want to go to Mars. And he's the guy who's working on getting us there. So if someone's got to take one for the team, I'm glad it's his kids. If they have to suffer, and I'll leave it at that. If they have to suffer so that we can go to Mars, I'm on board with it. And that's a sacrifice that I am willing to make. Choose the life that you choose and embrace it because it's the life that you've chosen. Is your life great or is it terrible? It has everything to do with how well you're able to embrace it. Some people I look at and I think, man, that's sad. I mean that genuinely. People will embrace failure. And I know what it is. Nobody wants to be a failure. But what it comes down to is that people just don't think they can be better. They never had someone tell them. They've never had somebody encourage them. They don't have any reason to believe they can be better. In a certain sense, it doesn't make any sense. If I come in here and tell you guys every day, you know what? Chill. Everything is okay. Things will turn out to be just fine. All is well. In fact, you know what? No more class. Just get on your phones and let's just watch videos all day. Now, many people would go, yeah. A couple people would be like, because what are you here for? The less experienced you are, the less qualified you are, the less of a drive you have, well, the easier for me, because that means I don't have to compete with you. If you're aware of what it takes and you're willing to put in that work, it sounds terrible, but take it with all of the love I mean it, and I mean this genuinely. Look around your rooms sometimes, and just keep in mind, this is the competition. When you see people who are like slacking off, doing other things, not working, distracted, just keep in mind, dude, that's one less person you have to worry about if you're trying to achieve something big. If you're trying to like have a mediocre life and just get by, then yeah, that's your competition. That is your second competition. But it gives you insight into what's possible. Because one of the things that stops us from believing that things are possible is just, like for example, becoming a professional athlete. Oh my God, but there's so many people who are going for it. Yeah, but how many people are actually qualified to do it? In other words, how many people are actually good enough? And of those people who are good enough, how many of them have the work ethic to actually do it? And of those who have the work ethic, how many of them have the long-term work ethic to stick with it? And you start to see that the field of actual competitors narrows really, really quickly. If you're in here and you want to have a business and you recognize that in order to do that, you're going to have to be self-motivated. You're going to have to find a way to save time, because there's going to be, like with Zuckerberg, like I said, he saves time just by not having to pick out his clothes every day. He doesn't really run Facebook anymore, and that's why he actually changed his wardrobe, he said, because he doesn't have to, because he has more time now, so he's actually able to pick out his own clothes. If you're always looking for ways to save time so that you can invest the time, now look around the room and ask yourself how many people are doing that. Not just this class, but your math class, your whatever classes you have. And then if you're on the trolley, ask yourself that question looking around. How many people on here are actually using the time right now to get better? In other words, listening to something that's going to make you better, learning about something that you can use in the future, versus how are thinking about things that are going to make them better, versus how many people are just burning the time and wasting it. And if you're a person who can motivate yourself to do that, well, then that's one less person you have to worry about being your competition. In fact, what that person is a customer. I don't know if I mean, obviously Zuckerberg doesn't take their trolley, probably, but if he did, do you suppose he'd look around the trolley and what do you think he sees? What do most of us see? Homeless. Yeah. Look around. What does Zuckerberg see? Opportunity. He sees people, excuse me. Zuckerberg sees a trolley full of, let's say, 50 people with a whole bunch of downtime, in their minds, downtime. And they're on their phones, and he said, those are eyeballs. Those are people I can sell advertising to. He sees the opportunities in it. When you see just general behavior, whatever can separate you from the rest of everybody else is what gives you the advantage, if you want it. Now, saying that, I won't ask you to raise your hands, but really think about it. How many of you have like a big dream like that? Like, I want to own this big, I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to be a tech billionaire, or I want to be like an AI pioneer or something, you know? If you do, then now you know your task. You can't waste a second, because if that's you, the people that you're competing with understand that there's no such thing as leisure time, as downtime, as work time, as even family time. There's only lifetime. And the more, and you can't have it all, but what you can do is figure out how to invest that time. And that's the thing, it has to be an investment of time. How can I use this time right now to make myself better? When's the last time you think Elon Musk ever just like sat down and like, I don't know, like watched videos as he ate lunch? That guy, even eating lunch for him, he has meetings with people. There is no such thing as uptime and downtime. Now, look at the general state of his life, though. The guy's got, what, 7 kids, 8 kids, something like that? He has a relationship with none of them. All of the moms hate him. Why? Because he doesn't have time to be a dad. He doesn't have time to be a husband. So that's the cost. Now, don't get me wrong. I wish those kids had a parent. But I really want to go to Mars. And he's the guy who's working on getting us there. So if someone's got to take one for the team, I'm glad it's his kids. I'm glad it's not, somebody else. But if they have to suffer, and I'll leave it at that. If they have to suffer so that we can go to Mars, I'm on board with it. And that's a sacrifice that I am willing to make for all of us, his children. But that's what it takes. You can't have it all, but you can figure out what you're going to have. You look at like Bill Gates even. He doesn't have, you look at his family, it's not, it's in disarray. All of these people have personal lives that are in complete chaos. But that's not because they're just screw-ups as human beings. It's because they're so hyper-focused on something. I mean, think about that. You have to schedule an appointment with your dad just to drop off a Father's Day gift, or something like that. I mean, my goodness, the lives are just in chaos. But all I'm saying to you is that it's possible. And if that's not what you want, don't feel bad about it. Choose the life that you choose and embrace it, because it's the life that you've chosen. Is your life great or is it terrible? It has everything to do with how well you're able to embrace it. Some people I look at and I think, man, that's sad. I mean that genuinely. People will embrace failure. And I know what it is. Nobody wants to be a failure. But what it comes down to is that people just don't think they can be better. They never had someone tell them. They've never had somebody encourage them. They don't have any reason to believe they can be better. And so, I mean, and that's heartbreaking, because I can see so much potential in people, man. There is so much potential in people. And we just need just a little bit of ambition. And that can come from having just a little bit of the right encouragement. But we perish for that, a lack of encouragement, a lack of knowledge. And so, unfortunately, that drags a lot of people down. But those of you who can find encouragement in yourself, that puts you way ahead of everybody else also. So, you know what it takes. You have an idea what it takes. Everybody does. No one's completely clueless. But the question is, do you want it? And whatever it is that you want, go get it. No one's stopping you. No one's in your way. The only one in your way is yourself, probably. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but nothing worth doing is easy. It just means that you have to, it gives you something to overcome. It gives you something to do with every day of your life. It gives you an ambition and something to be proud of. I remember, I'll leave it with this. I'll tell the story later on, but when I bought my first business, I was 21, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing with it. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I just saved up a bunch of money, and I thought, I want to have a business, so I bought the business. I knew the business all right, but in terms of running it, it's completely different. What's that?
What type of business was it?
It was a pizza shop.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a pizza shop. My first, so I bought the shop, and I went into downtown LA, all the skyscrapers. I just looked up, and I'm like, whoever is at the top of that building probably knows what they're doing, right? So I would get in the elevator, and I took the elevator as high up as I could. You can't always go all the way to the top. I would take the elevator as high up as I could. I went to the offices, and I asked them, can I talk to whoever's in charge here? And they're like, are you selling something? Are you a custodian? No. And I just told them, I'm 21 years old. I just bought my first business, and I really want some advice. And I figured that whoever's in charge up here must know what they're doing. Now, knowing what I know now, that was stupid. Because those people are so incredibly busy, they don't have 5 minutes spare every day. Every minute is scheduled, they got something to do. But surprisingly, several people did, actually, I think 7 or 8 people, actually let me in, and then I was able to talk to various people, a CEO, some CFOs, chief financial officers, chief operations officers. And it was fascinating, the advice that they gave me. But there's one guy, I'll tell you about it another time, but there was one guy who stood out to me. He ran a company where they made hangers.
Like for clothes?
Yeah, primarily for dry cleaners. And this guy was excited. He showed me these 2 hangers. And he's like, check them out. And I'm looking at him, he's like, do you see the difference? No. Same damn hanger, you know? What the hell? I'm looking at it, I'm like trying to figure out if one's stronger, I'm bending him. And he's like sitting there, like thrilled. And I just go, I don't see a difference. I don't feel a difference. And the guy says, the hanger you're holding, and on your left hand, I can't remember how much it was like 2 ounces or an ounce. It's like an ounce lighter than the one on the right hand. He's like, it's lighter by an ounce. Does anybody understand why that's significant?
Does it cost less to make?
Costs less to make, costs less to ship. You can put more of them in a box. And he was talking about how proud he was that they had found a way to do this, not to screw the customer over, but to provide a better product and provide it at a cheaper cost. That's why he was so excited. It wasn't like twirling his mustache, we can screw over our customers. No, this guy was like excited that they found a way to do that. And this guy was like in his, I don't know, late 50s, early 60s, something like that, probably in his 60s. And I'm trying to understand the gravity, like why this is so important to him. And I remember asking him, like, so how much money do you save on this a year on shipping? And like almost passingly, he just says, we're going to save about $10.6 million on shipping this year. And then he moves on to something else. That means that guy made his company an extra $10.6 million. But he didn't focus on the money. He was focused on the product. And I remember him giving me that advice. He said, the product, he said, you can't always control if your company is going to be successful or not. You can do the best you can. You can provide the best product, but market conditions, if you got the right marketing, but he's like, just make the best product. And he said, and what you're going to find is that almost everybody who goes up makes the best product. Companies start to collapse when they stop doing that. And I'm like, I see. And then he said, business is just life, right? And I said, oh yeah, of course I know that. I didn't know that. But I said, who doesn't know this? Of course. And he says, the same is true about your life. Do the right thing. Do the best thing. Sometimes it'll work out in your favor. He says, sometimes sometimes you won't realize it works out in your favor. Other times you will. But do the right thing. Do the best thing. Do the best thing for everybody. The money will come. He said, don't worry. The money will come. If you do the right thing, money will come. If you find something you're passionate about, the money will come. And I remember walking away, and I remember his words stuck with me because for the next 9 months, I slept on a concrete floor in the back of my pizza shop because I couldn't afford an apartment. I would shower every day. We had a tri-compartment sink, like you wash, rinse, and sanitize dishes. That was my shower every day. And then one day I remember I made a little bit of money. I'm like, dude, this is dope. I went and got an air mattress. I wasn't sleeping on concrete anymore. I was making it, dude.
How long, what happened to the pizza shop? What happened to it?
I sold them. And I had that one, and I did well. I bought another one, and then I sold them. And I made my first couple of million by the time I was 25. But here's the thing, it's not about money, right? It's about what you do with it. Money is a resource. Understand that's what the guy was talking about when he said he saved the company $10.6 million. It wasn't, now I can buy a new yacht. It was, we can reinvest that in new things. You might not have $10.6 million. You might not even have $1, but you've got something more valuable than that. Zuckerberg knows what it is. What is it? Time. No matter how rich Zuckerberg gets, he can't buy back his time. So when you realize that there is no downtime, there is no leisure time, there's only lifetime, then you're really on to something. Then you'll see your time as something to invest, not to spend. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Man, happy Wednesday.